500.
We don't receive it until 500 now they carry now.
The chief.
You don't know how much before now.
Oga, na 300.
I say now 500.
Oga, give me my
Don't
change.
change.
Inflation. Just a word. But like yeast, it makes everything rise. Rise so high, even our savings can't fight. From food, to transportation, to clothing, to even rent. The reason basic income barely feels like it came. Our hard-earned money failing to dance to the rhythm of inflation. We barely get through today, only to worry about tomorrow. Yet, tomorrow carries so much hope on its shoulders. Hope amidst the fear of how it will turn out. But despite the gloom, there is good news. We found the best way to save with Jollof Plus. Interest so high, 21% net, even inflation stands no chance. So today, we breathe and choose to secure tomorrow. Today we save to beat inflation tomorrow with Jollof Plus. Download the Jollof Plus app on the Google Play Store or Apple Store and earn up to 21% net on your savings.
Hey everyone, it's Oluwanifemi Kolawole, your regular host on Techpoint Africa Podcast. You guys didn't see me last week. I heard that you didn't miss me.
Yeah.
No offense taken. With me in the studio today, you've already heard his voice. It's Chimgozirim. He's probably on having a beef against me. I don't know why. Because
Don't have money. Why would I be having beef against?
jeez.
I only beef rich people. Sorry.
This is on public. Oh Lord.
Yeah. So that they'll know. I only beef rich people.
Well, I'm a rich auntie in my own. How did they say it?
In your own right.
Yes, in my own right.
You
I'm
get
a
out
rich
of your
auntie.
bubble sometimes.
No, it's not my bubble. I've been told by the people I'm rich auntying for. So on that basis, you're gonna forgive my voice today. I don't know why my voice will be taking a sabbatical when I'm not. So, but pardon me, and I hope it's soft enough. But don't sleep. This is the kind of voice needed in those monologue podcasts, and they will just go, hello, listeners.
Except they plan on sleeping, sure.
Hello, listeners. There's one I do listen to that goes like that. Oh, sorry. I digress. Today, we are considering some tech news that happened during the week. A lot happened, but we decided to focus on two as it has become the usual on our weekly episode of the Techpoint Africa Podcast. Today, I'm starting on what I consider a sad note, maybe for me, or I'm just overreacting, or maybe it's the thing happening to my voice that's affecting my emotions, one of the two. But Binance executive that has been detained for tax evasion and money laundering since March 2024 is still in custody. The last we heard about him this week was his lawyers asking that they release him to do surgery because his health is deteriorating, and that is what they are still trying to get him out for. It is not even for that purpose. Like, let's have some hearings. Like, I know court cases take a lot of time, but I'm not even sure if he's the one that is being accused on this count or the company he represents, that is Binance. And meanwhile, since that March, Binance has stopped Naira transactions on the exchange. So Chimgozirim is going to give us like a rundown of the timeline of things since March, since this guy has been detained. He's a US citizen, and I would have imagined that his state would have probably intervened or something. The fact that his health is deteriorating is also something of concern. But yes, Chimgozirim, can you give us like a rundown of what has happened so far? Why is this detention prolonged? Like, it could have just been sentenced or something. I don't know. Okay, we're not going to talk about the conspiracy theories around it yet. But yeah, go on.
I was not aware there were conspiracy theories.
They were.
What are they?
Yeah, there's this one that is being held at ransom to provide the details of some people that are considered enemy of the state in Nigeria.
I see.
Yeah, to get their identity and their location. You get, but it's a conspiracy theory, so unproven. So can we go back to where we were?
Yes. Okay. So I mean, you've already given the rundown. So he was initially detained. So Binance was accused of money laundering, tax evasion, and two executives flew into Nigeria to, I mean, dialogue with the government and get a resolution for.
One escaped.
Yeah, one escaped. A very interesting turn of events. One escaped. So real life prison break happened under the eyes. And yeah, if you're saying conspiracy theories, or if you're speaking about conspiracy theories, they probably are keeping him there to punish the other. Like, he's basically, in my opinion, part of his suffering is also due to the fact that they let the other guy sleep, and it feels like they're just taking it out on him. But I think this is a sad state of events. First for him, because you came with the intention that you're going to have some dialogue with the government and potentially resolve issues your company was having, and now you are being placed under arrest. You're in detention. You can't access proper health care.
Now.
Yeah, over 6 months. And I mean, it's funny how time flies, but it was just
Like yesterday.
that he was being held, and now we are hearing the Nigerian government is saying, okay, you guys are making a big deal out of this. It's not that big, and I don't know. Like I said, it's a very sorry state of affairs, and I do not know how. So I think this looks very badly, or it looks very bad for the Nigerian government or whoever is holding him. In this case, the Nigerian
EFCC,
government.
no?
Yeah, EFCC, the NSA, all of them. It looks very bad because this is really not the time for you to be flexing your muscle with a company that could, with a foreign company, for a number of reasons. Your country isn't particularly in its best shape economically, and you claim you are trying to attract foreign investments, and someone who came into dialogue with you has been held without, I mean, you could call it trumped up charges, to be fair, right? He has been held for months, and very little progress has been made about getting him out of detention. So
Even like granting bail for medical
Yeah.
reasons is not happening.
Mhm. So I'm looking at it, and I'm an investor, or I'm considering Nigeria as a potential investment destination. Now I have to make a few decisions. Do I go ahead with investing in your country, knowing fully well that this is a fate that I could face further down the line, or do I just take my things and leave, regardless of what happens? Right. I think that's a question that a lot of Nigerians or a lot of foreign investors right now would be thinking. Like, is it worth it to continue investing in Nigeria?
But here we are. Here we were. I think 2 weeks ago when we were talking about when Starlink announced that is building ground stations in Nigeria, starting with some southwestern states, and that means it will have executives on ground, even if they are locals. It's given, like, when we have leverage on you, there's nothing we can do about you or against you, as long as you remember the time when Twitter wanted to have like an office in Africa, and it said it was going to be in Lagos, and then the Twitter what's it called, ban thing happened. I can just imagine if they had an office in Nigeria that year,
Yeah.
what would have happened? Probably closed down, or EFCC just running down the location, and it doesn't look nice on the Nigerian government, to be fair. At least there should be like a progress on the hearing, since this is considered like an economic and financial crimes commission purview. there should be a hearing rather. We should have like courts. We should have like an idea of how the court sessions are going.
I mean, yeah,
all
we
keep
could
hearing
we could
is
have an
he's still in
idea.
detention. He's still in detention.
Yeah, he's been going to court, but the issue is, so his lawyers are trying to get him out first to access adequate healthcare, and the video that came out this week is really sad, right? So let's assume his company is actually guilty of what you accuse them of, right?
Mm-hmm.
You should accord him that respect and just let him be able to not don't dehumanize the person. And it's something that law enforcement in Nigeria does a lot, right?
Mm-hmm.
He was obviously in pain and he needed aid, and you couldn't provide a wheelchair. I mean, what does it take to make his living conditions a little bit more bearable? So yes, he has a condition that has been, I mean, it's a long-standing condition, so it's not something new that you could say developed in detention. But how about you make his life a little bit
Easier.
more
It's not
easy
a
or easier?
criminal.
Yeah, exactly. He's not a criminal, so treating him like a criminal, and yes, even criminals have rights. You
Yeah.
shouldn't. He's being treated very poorly, and this just again, at the risk of sounding like a broken record, it's just very terrible it's a terrible look for the government. It's a terrible look for Nigeria as an investment destination, because I'm thinking right now, do I want to invest and go through all of this? And even if it's a Nigerian who is going through all of this,
Yeah.
do
I
you
was going
want
say
to
that.
be spending all your time as a company trying to get an employee out?
out?
I mean, your business is hard enough as it is,
Mm-hmm.
and now you have to fight to get an employee out of detention. Makes absolutely
I think this has like human rights implications.
yeah, of course.
Like,
This is
and
what we've been
I
discussing.
feel, to some extent, I feel like it's not getting the enough attention as it should get. I mean, it's this same country that you can't even hold what's it called, people in positions, you can't hold them accountable for how they spend public funds. Still the same the same climb. Those that make it to detention are released, or they're given like different treatment from other people that are in detention. It is still the same climb that people get away with misappropriation of funds and all this tax invasion for the companies they run, and everything. And it is the same country. If it were a country that, like the rule of law is like very much upheld, we would say, okay, they're trying to follow due process and all. I think there are still a lot of conspiracy theories around this, or things
Well,
that
I
are
mean,
not getting out that
so unfortunately,
involved in
our job is not to do conspiracy theories, but
yeah.
it's still the same issue, right? 6 months, I think, is enough time for you to expedite a process.
Yeah,
It's more than
confirm, okay.
enough time. So
Yeah,
if you do not have anything on the guy after 6 months,
yeah, bail.
maybe
Then you
let
can-
him leave, because
Yeah, at
6
least
months
bail.
is enough time, I
At
think.
least bail. Bail doesn't mean that it's off the charges, or they can't be court cases again. Granting bail, like, of course, if you travel out, if you leave the country. But yeah,
No, like you can grant bail and then the person doesn't have to can't leave the country. That's
but the one that
that's possible.
escaped from custody, what do you not expect? Or the one that
I have
granted
nothing
bail,
to say on that, but he did not escape.
he was released.
Like I said, it's not from my mouth to hear that crossing draws.
Anyways, we just thought to discuss this because it is taking longer than it should, and whether we like it or not, when Binance is mentioned, or when the crypto space in Nigeria is mentioned, and in many African countries, you can't remove Binance from it, right? Even though there are local crypto platforms, exchanges. Meanwhile, sometimes last week, two crypto exchanges were granted license in Nigeria.
Mm.
Well, I was not optimistic about it, but it seems like good news. So if that means anything, it means that it should mean that the government is more open to to
Government that doesn't know what they're doing. Okay, so SEC is saying you guys have a license. I think there are 3 now or 4 companies that have that license.
Apart
SEC
from
is saying
Busha
you
and
have.
products.
Yeah, I think I've seen 2 others also. SEC is saying you have a license. The CBN is keeping silent. Banks are saying CBN hasn't told
We
us
don't
anything, and
recognize
so
you.
until CBN speaks to us, we can't do business with you. So, what's the use of your license, really? Well,
We'll
they'll be
get
fine.
there. We'll get there. Our insight for this week is Binance user growth since 2017. Binance tripled its annual user base between 2021 and 2022. It experienced a spike from 28.6 million users in 2021 to 128 million users in 2022 and 150 million users in 2023. To get more insights like this, go to intelpoint.co. And that's that about Binance. We're moving from there to a Zambian startup. Sometimes in 2022, Union 54 ceased its card issuing services, and it affects a number of African startups, right? And almost a year after, the founders started something else, totally different from that, but it's still with help from Microsoft. Did I say Microsoft? MasterCard, rather. Sorry, MasterCard. And the name of this, what came out from that, it was ChitChat. ChitChat is considered like a more of a messaging platform, but which is served also as a social commerce platform that will aid connection with merchants, vendors, where you can pay, message them, and do all sorts. So why are we talking about it about 1 year later again? A new service is being introduced to ChitChat, and that is virtual cards. Well, institutions like this, the questions people tend to ask, or that would normally come to people's mind is, okay, you did this, you failed. Now you're offering a service that has similarities with what failed. What lessons are you picking from the one that failed and you're applying here? So the question I will start with is, what lessons are brought in from Union 54?
I hope it's not me you're asking.
I'm asking you, Chimgozirim.
I mean, it can't be me. I'm not the one that started the company.
I know, but it's out there. You know, when people talk about their success and failure stories or postmortems, they talk about if you remember,
You didn't do any postmortem now.
they just came up and said we started something else.
So you didn't do
Yeah.
a postmortem. So
Yeah.
first of all, this thing is not even a. I don't know why they're calling this social commerce app really, because it's looking more like a super. So when they launched, it was just called a social commerce app. So I don't know
It's not
the
them,
features that it.
It's not them that will tell the consumers what to
No,
call
so
it.
there are features you have. So one, there's a chat. You can send money.
Mm-hmm.
Like to other ChitChat users.
Mm-hmm.
Then there's a remittance feature, so you could send money to a couple of African countries, I think. Then you also have a what do you call it now? Virtual cards, which they just launched. But they have the commerce feature, which is why they're calling it social commerce, where you can. So first, you can create digital storefronts as a business owner, and then you can list your inventory. So I guess maybe a bumper within this. So, I mean, for those of you who may not know Bumper, Bumper is basically it's also a social commerce startup that provides tools for merchants to have. They can just get storefronts. You can set up a storefront, list your inventory, and accept payments. So what ChitChat is doing is all of this. So there's a chat feature which you can send money to users on the app just via chat, and then with the storefront feature as well, you can do something similar. So if I'm a let's say small shop owner, then I can just create a shop or create a store, a digital storefront, and you can see everything there. So you can now
Just like you do with WhatsApp Business.
exactly WhatsApp Business,
You have a catalog.
yeah.
Yeah.
So my That said, that's why I said I don't know why you're calling it a social commerce app, because
That's what they call
it's a
themselves.
lot more than social commerce. There's remittance, there's payments, there's messaging. So I think they are looking at becoming a super app. But anyway, let's go with the name that they are going that they are
ChitChat.
choosing. Yes, ChitChat.
Probably along the side of WeChat.
Yeah. So the jury is still out on whether Africa can have a super app.
Hope we tried
Right.
it, right?
Well, some people claim
The web.
OPay did not want to be a super app, and that they wanted that everything they did was geared towards being a fintech. Different discussion, but like I said, the jury is still out on whether we can have a super app. Safe Border has tried it. I think Gozem has tried to be a super app
in Africa.
and
It's
everyone who
actually the
has
poster child for super app in Africa goes them.
yeah. So everyone who has tried it has not exactly had
This guy too
much
that shut
success.
down,
Which one?
I featured them, not Central Africa.
Central.
Yeah,
Never heard of them.
yeah, no, that I mean they're in Central
Oh, okay.
Africa. I remember featuring the startup. I think in 2020 or 2021, shut down in 2022 or thereabout. Yes, because
Okay.
them was their mentor. Sorry.
Well, so I mean, the jury is out on whether that can happen, and I suppose they know this because you need to. So, like I already mentioned, at least 3 distinct features. There's the remittance, there's payments, and then there's chat. Now you have to dislodge. I think I was having this discussion just last week. If you want to succeed, you need to dislodge WhatsApp. You need to dislodge the
Instagram.
existing payment platforms in the country. They're starting out in in Zambia,
Zambia.
where they have like that was where
they've
Union
expanded
54.
to
Yeah.
Ghana.
I don't know. So they are supposed to like expand to closer country. I think there's Uganda, but you're starting out in Zambia, where there are definitely, at least there are banks. There are a few small fintechs that are there. So first, if you're going to even have a chance at success in these countries, you need to change people's behaviors, make them realize that or decide that WhatsApp isn't it for them, that their bank app would not cut it, or that the fintechs or mobile money platforms that they currently use won't cut it for them. So I don't know how much, like off the top of my head, I can't remember how much Zambia gets in remittance. So I don't know how much remittance can drive that. You could say remittance would be maybe an entry point that makes them. So if I use you to send and receive money from outside the country, I might, and if I receive money frequently, then that might be something that gets that's maybe it just drives user acquisition for them. I don't know how much Zambia receives in remittances, but it's definitely not one of the top destinations for remittances in Africa. So I don't know how much that can.
That's
can,
even one of the
drive
service,
them.
and given how the business model has changed from what it was with Union 54, now it's mostly focused on customers, right? And to scale with that, you have to do like volume. So the startup will have to be looking at like expansion into bigger markets, into larger markets. And if you even want to expand
you could
into
stay in your
larger,
country, but
like yes, if you want to consolidate larger markets, so you meet competitors in those markets, right? I'm just looking at, since you say you can't speak to the lessons they probably learned from Union 54, that probably want to use in this particular one. One thing that we can try to speculate is the chances of success with this is 1 year running now, almost 1 year right now. And
so speculating,
yes.
the one thing I want to talk about is so ChitChat is the founder's third attempt at solving kind of related problems. So he started with Zazu, then moved to Union 54, which was providing an an infrastructure for people for fintechs to issue cards or
And
for
fintechs use them
yes.
then. Interestingly,
Yeah,
And
of course.
it-
No,
Shark-
interest. I mean, yes, why not? They got into YC, but that's not even where
well,
I'm
you,
going
you
to.
know the way fintechs are with infrastructure that has to do with they will
First of
probably
all,
choose.
there aren't too many people providing that service. Even right now, there aren't a lot of options. If you want to issue cards, you
Mhm.
don't have a lot of options right now.
And that's the thing that
So why wouldn't you?
they use African startups mostly use like foreign options.
Nobody's going to be no foreign company is going to be trying to stretch themselves to give you that infrastructure. So like the market they were playing in, it made sense, right? But what I'm particularly interested in is you had to shut down Union 54 because you couldn't figure out how to stop chargeback fraud.
Yeah.
And now you are launching you're launching ChitChat, but you're also giving out virtual cards. So my
Cards.
my
involve
problem
chargebacks.
is, or my question would be, what has changed in the last 1 year?
Mhm.
Have you somehow figured out how to reduce chargeback? Because you can't eliminate it completely, to be
With
fair.
cards.
So have you figured out a better way to do this? Now there's an argument that at the scale they're at, their numbers are not really public, but I just tried to check on the Play Store. They have about 10k downloads. But let's just say you have maybe the same number on Apple. Let's say at 20, 30k users, right? Perhaps at that scale, it's easier for you to handle chargeback fraud. But I mean, you're struggling with you're dealing with the smaller scale, so your problem is reduced.
Yeah.
But what's to say that they've learned any lesson about chargeback fraud to issue virtual cards?
Mm-hmm.
That's the question that I have for them, right?
So would you rather they just stay away from card business?
I'm not the one to tell them. Whether they should offer card services or not. It's obviously a part of their product vision. But I think before doing that, they need to figure out whether they have learned enough lessons from Union 54 that would translate into ChitChat, because you have the same problems, like I said, only that it's on a smaller scale. So have they figured out the way to reduce incidences of chargeback fraud? Do they have better reporting mechanisms? Do they have better, just generally, do they have better mechanisms right now? I think that's a question they should have answers to, hopefully. And if they do, then maybe it's possible. And yeah, maybe it's possible that they succeed at this. Of course, it's one thing to succeed at the virtual card business, but whether what they're trying to do succeeds or not, I think I think it's fair to say that we've seen a number of social commerce, what I call them startups now. So social commerce in Africa has kind of grown in the last few years. If you're in Nigeria, you probably know you probably know someone who is selling on Instagram, or you're already selling on Instagram yourself. So social commerce has become huge. There's clearly an opportunity there to provide better tools, or provide tools at all for anyone who is for social commerce. I don't know what to call them now.
Platforms.
Yeah, there's clearly a market there. So whether they can succeed at that is an entirely different conversation at all. But yeah,
it's worth trying. Being a serial entrepreneur, you just don't give up like that.
I guess.
Right? Third try is probably a charm.
Yeah, and it's interesting though that they've always had MasterCard as a partner.
Exactly.
From
so
Zazu again.
they probably, I get.
Nigerians. This is something only Nigerians get, but
Yeah.
anyway, from Zazu to Union 54 and now to ChitChat, they've
So
always had
I think
MasterCard
there's no
as a
getting
partner.
out
So
of the card business.
yeah, I guess.
Even
I mean,
if this turn out to be the super app we envisage it to be, there will still be card in all the mix.
yeah.
But let's hope the third time is a charm. And okay, you have told me to stop saying this, but wishing.
Yeah,
ChitChat
please, can you
the
not
best.
say it? I mean, it's not. I mean, well, if you succeed, all the best, but really.
All right. That will be all today on today's episode of Techpoint Africa Podcast. Catch up with every other story that happened in African tech on the Techpoint Africa website. Go to techpoint.africa. You'll find everything that is going on in Africa tech. Don't forget to drop a feedback for us. You can comment if you're listening to us on Spotify. You can rate us. You can drop a feedback for us. And if you're listening to us on any of our other podcast platforms, you can also send us a message or reach out to us via social media platforms, or send us an email at podcast@techpoint.africa. We would be very happy to hear from you. This is also a good time to remind you of our other native podcasts, other podcasts on Techpoint Africa. We have the Modern Workplace Conversations, we have Equity Merchant, we have How Cool Tech Works. You can also subscribe to this one and catch an episode every week unfailingly. This has been going on. You can also subscribe to our newsletters, Techpoint Digest, run by Victoria, darling Victoria. And then there is the Modern Workplace newsletter, there's Equity Merchant newsletter, and it's also How Cool Tech Works newsletter. Keep up with us also on our social media platform. I think I need followers on Twitter.
You're free to.
You can find me.
You're free to beg them to follow you.
You can't find me. Okay, shameless plug. You can find me at. Now that I think of it, let me just spell my username at NIFEMEAH.
So you're using Techpoint work to promote your Twitter account?
Yes, because I do Techpoint work on my handle, so you can follow me there. Let's catch up. But also you can find me on LinkedIn, Oluwanifemi, and you can also keep up with that. Anything you miss on any of our social media platforms, you find it on my page. I don't know about Chimgozirim, but that's my shameless plug for today. Thank you for joining us. I hope if you love the way I sound, I can keep up with it too. So let me know if this or that's my shouty part is the part you like, the part where I'm
like
very
anyone?
loud. Yes, feedback. Just tell me what you like. We'll try to fit in. Bye.